release of update 7.9 today, they have added a new tutorial and several useful features such as colorblind mode. So if you want to get into the game, this is the best time. So, however, first you need to know what tanks are, alright? So, the definition of a tank is an armored fighting vehicle with tracks powered by wheels and, in most cases, a turret. Now, here is my good old example, the E100. So, the turret is the part that can spin around, is this part. This is the part that holds the gun, alright? These are the tracks and the wheels. This is the frontal armor. This is the side armor. This is the rear armor. This is the left side armor. Now, there are all sorts of different types of tanks. For example, heavy tank. These typically are slow, very good armor, and good guns, but they are still very slow. Medium tanks, such as this one, they're kind of just relatively fast, relatively okay armor, good guns. Yeah, that's pretty much all you can say of them. They're just normal. Light tanks, such as the M41 Bulldog, they are very fast with high damage per minute guns, but they have no armor at all. And lastly, tank destroyers. Do I have a tank destroyer in my garage? Alrighty. Tank destroyers, such as this one. They tend to have good armor at the front, terrible armor at the side and rear, and they're typically not that fast, but the good thing about them is that they have a huge gun. However, their turret, or if you can call it a turret, doesn't really turn all the way around it. It can only turn somewhat to the left and to the right. So if you're in a tank destroyer, you have to already plan where you're going to be, and that's why I don't really recommend tank destroyers for noobs. Of course, if that's how you like playing, then go ahead and do it. But you need to kind of choose what you want to do. So, time to move on to the next part. Battle types. Now, this is important to know because every now and then there's a fun game mode that I really recommend doing, depending on the one. And often, though, you shouldn't be doing them. Now, there are a couple things you need to know. So, regular game mode, this is just the standard. There are two types of battles in it, Supremacy and Encounter. Now, Encounter is just the normal, shoot 'em, where there's one base where you try to capture. It's my personal favorite. Supremacy, now this is where you have 3 bases, and if you capture all 3, you get more victory points to win. I do not recommend playing this type. It totally upsets the balance. All the pros don't play it. Now, raiding, you don't need to know that for a while, so I will not touch on that issue. Now, there are all sorts of fun game modes like Mad Games, where you have powers, gravity mode, or gravity force, where there is no gravity, or very little, that kind of thing. Now you must know about armor. So, as I said, heavy tanks have more armor, and light tanks have none. Tank destroyers are kind of depends on the tank, and then mediums are just in between. So, this tank has no armor. Even high explosive shells with very little penetration can shoot right through. Now, heavy tanks, or this isn't a good example, heavy tanks such as the Tiger II, they have really good armor. Now, as you can see, or well, you can't see, but I'll explain. If a shell hits them and it doesn't have the penetration necessary, it will bounce off. Now, there's a reason why it's angled. You see, if it's angled, it increases the relative thickness and makes it more powerful. Think about it. If a shell is going through an angled amount, it has to shoot through further to hit. So if it's angled, it does better. Now, another thing is that you need to know in battle to angle your armor, because if it angles, see, it has more chance of ricocheting. Now, a heavy tank like the Tiger II can bounce very easily because it has very good armor, it just bounces off. So, however, a light tank like the M41 Bulldog will pretty much never bounce, but it's very, very fast. Now you need to know about tiers. So there are 10 tiers in the game, from tier 1 being the weakest tanks, all the way to tier 10, the strongest tanks. Now, let me demonstrate what a tier 1 tank looks like. Yeah, super tiny, right? And then you go all the way to a tier 10 like the T110E5, and that thing is gigantic with a huge gun. Now, the ultimate goal of the game is to get to tier 10. However, you should, before you do that, get better at the game. So don't worry about getting to tier 10. For now, I'd just say get to tier 5 and that should be enough. And if you really like the game, then you can just continue. Now, as you can see, there are different nations. So this is the European nation, a bunch of just European tanks, like Swedish, Italian, Czech Republic, French, Chinese, Japanese, Great British, USSR, Germany, and America. Now, some specific highlights of tiers. Tier 1, always low tier. However, they have bots at this tier, so it's incredibly easy to win. Yeah, so I don't really recommend playing tier 1 too much unless if you're just even losing a lot and you want to make up for it. Tier 2 is pretty much just tier 1, but went up. Tier 3 is a lot of fun because you like pretty much always win because all the players are horrible. Tier 4 is well, for the longest time it was always low tier, which isn't the case anymore, so don't worry about that. It's just okay. M7 is really nice though. Tier 5, now these are very, very nice. They're a lot of fun. However, they recently updated the algorithm of matchmaking and now they're very often low tier. So, and then tier 6 is generally a stepping stone, not always though. Tier 7, this is a lot of fun, except they have a lot of overpowered tanks that they make you buy for money, so tier 7 can be really annoying. It's really messed up. Tier 8, and this is kind of the standard. I'd say 8 and not 10 are the standard ones that you want to play and where the players are actually good. So tier 8 is when you actually have to use skill. Now, tier 8 is hard, but it's a lot of fun too. Tier 9 is pretty annoying. I mean, I used to, for the longest time, think that they were horrible, but they're actually not that bad. In tier 10, you're always top tier. Your guns are gigantic. You're fast, generally, of course. Really good armor, like, seriously, insane amounts of armor. So, yeah, that's essentially how it goes. Now, each country has different type of tanks. Like as in, for example, a German heavy tank such as the Mouse is different than an American heavy tank, the E5. They just do different things, and you will learn that as you give it time. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and do the Tiger 2 again. Now, as you can see, I have it fully decked out with everything I need. I'm going to go ahead and replace the first aid kit with adrenaline, which makes the reloading speed shorter, and I'm pretty much ready. Alrighty. Alright, so for this game, this was an incredible game. 4.2 damage, mastery badge, top gun, high caliber, pools medal, steel wall, etc. So that was amazing. Now I'll show you the recording for this. This was a fun game. Here, let me delete the play bar. So essentially, I thought that the Black Prince and the other heavy tanks would show up that way. Now, admittedly, they were tier 7 heavy tanks, so I wasn't that worried, but I still went anyways. Borsig, I thought was probably also in that neighborhood, so that's why I was also very cautious. Now, the 2 tier 7 heavy tanks that are coming, I wasn't that, like, I don't know. They aren't that amazing heavy tanks, but I'm not complaining. So I went this way. I was very cautious because I expected them to show up, so you'll see that I'm going to kind of, yeah, I won't peek forward because I want to be careful. Yeah, so I'm basically just kind of being careful here. But anyways, yeah, so I expected the Borsig, which has a huge gun, the RHM in other words, to hit me, but he didn't, so that was good. Alrighty, so yeah, as I thought, the medium tank showed up on the other side of the map. That's okay. Alright, so now I'm going to kind of wait. I don't know. And then, as I finally noticed that nobody showed up, I was like, why aren't they showing up? And then I noticed the AMX Import 45 was going forward. Not sure whether that's a smart choice, but I think honestly that it ended up for the better, so I went ahead. Now this game almost looked like we would lose at one point because our mediums pretty much all died, but it ended up fine. So, as you can see, Black Prince and Borsig. just as I thought. Now, the Black Prince was very slow in showing up. Black Prince has very good armor, but against tier 8 it's not that amazing, as you can see. The parts that are red are the better armored parts when you zoom in with your mouse wheel. Now, I'm not that afraid of him because he can't really penetrate me, so I be more bold. I pretty much go forward. Yep, I shoot him. That AMX M445 is not having a good day. That's okay. I mean, this Black Prince is pretty much dead. So I shoot him again. Borsig goes forward to try to shoot me. I back up. The AMX M445 takes it instead. And then I get the kill shot on that Black Prince. As you can see, I bounce him. Now, I go ahead and hit that Borsig because even if he hits me, I know that I'll be okay. So as you can see, we're losing big time at this part. And yet, somehow, we ended up okay. I bounced that guy as well. Shot that guy. Go forward for that Borsig, seeking for him. Now, we're already at 1,270 damage, which is quite nice. Now, I shoot to high explosive. I get that guy, and I kill him immediately. That's because it does more damage if it penetrates, and that tank doesn't really have armor. Now, I aim at the KV3, get a good shot there. I penetrate him. KV3 is good armor, but not against tier 8 as much. Now, and there's another shot. Oh man, we're just ripping through the enemy right now. Now, this Bulldog does something dumb. He tries to ram me and say he just kills himself. Alright, now, as you can see, I'm already sitting on 3 kills. 3 kills. Now I shoot this KV3, but I do not penetrate. That's okay, RNG. Alright, now I try to get that Panzer 58. I'm kind of hesitating right now what I should do, because this is going to look like a loss, kind of. This is kind of where it started to look like we might win. Now I go ahead and shoot him. And then, yeah, he goes ahead and dies by me, but I'm also being kind of careful. So, like for example, yeah, I'm just kind of being cautious. I don't want the Smasher to hit me in the side. Now I'm waiting for this guy to peek, like all nebs do. Okay, so I look and I notice that, well, he's not really focusing on me. So I go ahead and turn around and shoot the Smasher after a bit of hesitation, as you can see. Now the guy shoots me, but not for that much, that's okay. Now I go ahead and focus on this Panzer 58 again. I bounce him yet again, and then I wait for him to show up. Already on 3k damage there. We've already bounced a lot. Now I aim at that guy, I hit him. Alrighty. And then I go ahead and finish him off. Now, the way I finish him off is kind of interesting. So I ram him. Somehow he lived through that. Yeah, I missed that shot miserably there. Don't know what was with me. I ram him. He still lived. And then I go ahead and finish him off with this shot. And there we go. Now I just bounced a couple shots there. Alright, now, as you can see, I aim in on this KV3. I shoot him. And there he goes. That is an insane game. That is a beautiful game. Did a lot of damage there. And as you can see, once we go into the detailed stats here, I got 4,282 damage, that many credits, which is a lot. And then, as you can see, by the team, I outdamaged them by a mile. Panzer 58 was the best on the enemy team, but I was still, like, over twice him. Now, as for the detailed, I shot 15 shots. 14 of those hit, 12 of those penetrated. I didn't do any splash damage. 6 out of 7 enemies I destroyed. A lot of damage. I received 11 hits, and I bounced 7 of them. And yeah, I moved 1.05 kilometers in the process. Just kind of a cool thing. Anyways, yes, that's really cool. Battle achievements, a lot of enemy destroyed. I received Steel Wall, Pools Medal, High Caliber, and Top Gun, and an Ace Tanker badge at the same time. That is amazing. Anyways, so I just used that gameplay to kind of show you how to play this game. Now, I hope that may help you kind of get how this game works, and yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. Please share it with your friends who are struggling, and please like the video if you liked it.